All right, check it out. I'm with Matt Muscat, real estate agents. You need to hear what he has to say. Your career, or at least the careers of many agents out there, are dying mid-flight. They're dropping like flies on windowsills right now. They're going out, they're driving for Uber, they're getting real jobs. Why? Because they haven't learned the strategies and developed the discipline to succeed in this business. Matt Muscat is going to share with us. He's interviewed a ton of real estate agents for his podcast, for his Neighborhood Realtor podcast. And Matt has compiled a list of all these great strategies that he learned from all these different real estate agents. And what he did was he took the best of the best strategies, and he's going to share those with us today, one strategy at a time. And so I want you to listen carefully to Mr. Matt Muscat. Matt, thanks for being here with us, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that.
You bet. Well, let's just get right into it, man. So talk to us first of all. Actually, before you tell us about these three strategies, tell us first of all, what do you do and where do you do it?
Yeah, so I have the best job ever. So I've been in the real estate mortgage industry since 2011, and it is my job to get real estate agents to like us. And I'm with a mortgage company, Treadstone Funding, in the Midwest, Grand Rapids, Michigan. And so for the last 13 years, I've had the privilege of interviewing 3,500 or so agents and figuring out what's working for them, what's not working for them, and kind of regurgitating that information back to different people who have similarities with agents who know what they're doing or who don't know what they're doing. We want to share these ideas. And what I've noticed in the last year is that there's all this doom and gloom out there in the market of why we can't be successful. We can't be successful because rates are 1% higher. We can't be successful because inventory is changing, or now that there is inventory on the market, we can't be successful because the market's down. I mean, there's a lot of excuses out there, but I talked to about 100 agents this year whose businesses are up. And I put this kind of list together of things that they either had in common or unique, super one-off individual things that these agents were doing to get business. And I figured if these are the things that the people who are up are doing, these are things that most of us could do as well. None of these cost a ton of money, if any. Most of these don't take anything extra. Now, I know you, Michael, everyone in your group is huge on discipline, structure, systems, having a detailed calendar. When I meet with agents, I find that like most of them are open to that, but then they kind of get like brain freeze when it becomes like, well, how do I fill my time? And so a couple of these things, if you agree that you need to have discipline in a calendar, these are some things that you can place in those time blocks.
I love it. I can't wait to hear them. So let's hear, what are we putting in those time blocks that these agents are having massive success with?
Yeah. So the number one, overarching theme here is that the realtors whose businesses are up right now are the ones who are creating deals and not going after clients saying like, hey, I just wanted to call you. It's me, Matt. I'm a realtor. If you ever want to buy or sell real estate, I'm here for you, right? Like that is what most agents are doing. They're making sales calls and prospecting calls, and they're really trying to like sell themselves to people that aren't necessarily interested in buying or selling real estate. And it's kind of a weak approach. It's better than nothing, but it's a weak approach. The better agents are creating specific real estate opportunities and winning situations, and then critically thinking about who in their database or who in their community or what niches of people these could be good deals for. And they're connecting the dots like a matchmaker. They're really taking control and quarterbacking the situation. So give you an example of that. So a very, very specific strategy I have I like to call it the 3x3 strategy. And for anyone that wants a copy of this, I have a PDF. Anyone can email Michael, email me, we can get it to you. But here's the concept. Set a time block every day of the week and choose 3 homes that are in your market that have been on the market for 7 days or more. I don't need you starting this process with homes that hit the market yesterday that might already have 10 offers on them. So choose 3 homes that have been on the market for 7 days or more, and choose 3 people from your database per home to send a text or a call to. And here's an example. I send a text to Michael. Hey, Michael, I know you're not looking for a home, but 2 years ago when you were shopping with me, this is exactly what you were looking for. And I know we got you something else, but you have to see this. Check it out. Or, hey, Michael, I know you're not looking for a home right now, but I know that you mentioned last time we were talking that your kids are moving back from college, about to start a family. This is a great starter home. I found a couple blocks over for you guys. I know you'd probably love to have, grandma, grandpa be by those new grandkids whenever those come. You're coming up with a reason to send a specific house to someone based on the fact that you know they might be interested. Or it could be I call it the hero call. Hey, Michael, I know you're not looking for a home, but I had to send this to you. It's 2 doors down from you. I can't believe home prices are up to 500 in your market when we bought yours for 200. And I'm kind of sending that one out to let you know that I know what home prices are doing in your neighborhood. The goal on that is not for me to sell you a house. The goal is to stay in front of you with tangible and specific real estate information that's pertinent to the market so that you know that I'm on top of things and you can refer me to other people in your area. I'm almost like putting you in control of real estate information in your area because I know that when a home lists in your neighborhood, all of your neighbors are talking about it, they're texting about it. And if you have that information and none of them do, when they go to ask you, they're like, Michael, how do you know all this? You're not a realtor. And you'll be like, oh, my realtor, Matt, he told me, he calls me every time a house lists in our area. The idea is pretty simple. And there's 100 more things you can do with this. I mean, you can message someone if there's a home that lists by their work. Everybody wants to be closer to work, or they have coworkers who need to move closer to work. I mean, there's a million reasons that this works, but it's called the 3x3 strategy. And let's just break it down to the numbers. That's 9 a day. 3 times 3 a day is 9 times 5 business days in the week. If you're only working Monday through Fridays, is 45 calls or texts a week. What do you think the chances are that if you weren't doing this before, and if you started sending 45 of these a week out, that's almost 200 a month, that you're not going to get an extra deal or two that month? I think those chances are pretty close to zero. So that's the first one.
I love it. The 3x3. So we're picking 3 homes and we're sending them to 3 people.
Correct.
Okay.
Easy, right? And here's the cool thing about this strategy. I have agents who have been doing this now for 2 to 3 years because every day there are new homes on the market. Every day the market is changing. And the response rate on these messages is very high because it's not a generic text message. There's so many salespeople out there who, if they were to examine their marketing today, almost all of the things going out would be spam. Spam emails, bulk texts. They all say stop to reply, unsubscribe. This is not that. This is a well thought out message that you're choosing to get to someone. And obviously a phone call is the best possible way to do it, but it kind of depends on your relationship with the person. And it depends on, are you trying to sell them a house or just keep them informed? For people that are in your database from before, I think a text could be good, but for that we're looking for a home and now you found it, a text is fine. But a phone call conveys excitement. And our job as real estate professionals is to re-engage people and get them excited about this market that the media is telling them sucks, right? Like the media's job is to tell you that the market sucks. Your job is to get people excited about the industry right now.
I love it, dude. I think that's awesome. And it is proactive. And, it also causes you to think more about your clients. I think that's a great benefit of this is whether they reach out to you or not, at least you're starting to think more about individual clients and what their needs are. And you're starting to think proactively about, when a property comes on the market that looks interesting, you're thinking, okay, who is it that would be interested in this particular property? And it gets you really more engaged with your client list. So I like it. I think it's great stuff. All right.
So let's talk about social media for a second, because it almost becomes like a nauseating topic. Because when I talk to sales professionals in every industry, I'm like, so what do you do for marketing? And they always say social media. And then I'm like, awesome, show me social media on your calendar. What does that look like for you? And then they kind of go cold and they're embarrassed a little bit, because for most real estate professionals out there, when they say that social media is part of their marketing strategy, what they mean is that when their spouse is on the couch watching ESPN or The Bachelor, they go on Facebook and scroll mindlessly, and occasionally they comment or like something. That's what social media is for most people.
Yeah.
And they try to if they're a successful agent, they try to take the easy route out and pay an intern to post about holidays and happy things. That's not social media.
Right.
The strategy that works for my top agents every single week is this. Set a time block and choose a number of direct messages, DMs, that you can send out every single day. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 20. I think 20 or more is kind of the number you need to be at just in this current market. So you say that you're going to send out 20 DMs a day, and this is probably Facebook, Instagram, but I'm open to doing this on other channels. Now, LinkedIn doesn't work as well because no one actually uses LinkedIn. Everyone's on there, but no one uses it. So choose a site that people are engaged on. What I want you to do is promise me, number one, that you're never going to send out a copy and pasted spam message. Number two, I want you to find a way to organize your efforts. So you're going to organize your friends list in some way. You can go alphabetically. On Instagram, it's pretty easy to go in order of like date added. That's another good option for you. But once you figure out how you're going to organize this monstrous task, you're going to click on the person's profile, look at what they've been up to recently, take a second, use your brain to think, and send them a message about whatever they've most recently posted about. Now, here's the best part. If this person hasn't posted in 3, 4, 5 years, skip them, move on, send them a call, text, or email instead. They're not a social media user. But let's say you get to me and you see that I just posted that I'm excited to take my wife on a lovely vacation on Thursday for a family trip. And you say, oh, we're going to Vegas. Well, everyone's been to Vegas. So all you need to do is message me and say, hey, Matt, no, I haven't talked in a while. Saw you and your wife are going to Vegas. Make sure to check out XYZ Steakhouse. It was delicious. My spouse loved it last time we were there. Now, what do you think the chances are that if you message someone about a topic that they just posted about, that they're not going to respond to you? Pretty low,
Yeah,
right?
they're going to respond.
They're going to respond. Like
Right.
People chose to post about something because it was important to them, because they were fishing for admiration, for
Right.
attention. They were fishing for a response. They were fishing for social media to be social for them. And so you're going to get that response. Here's what often happens though, and here's why this is a worthwhile strategy. 90% of the time, at some point in the conversation, especially if you can control the conversation with open-ended questions, someone will ask you the open-ended question of, how are you? What's new? How's your family? How's work? How's the market? Something like that. And once they ask you an open-ended question, you as the finely tuned and trained sales professional can guide that conversation and really lead it wherever you want it to go. The places I like to go with this, I either like to say something positive about the real estate market and my career in the real estate market, as in like, yeah, it's been great. The market's been super busy, so I've been able to actually help a lot of clients get some homes at great prices. Or I'm going to go into try and get a meeting with them. If I don't just want to spout off stuff about the market, I then instead want to try to set up a lunch, coffee, happy hour, pickleball date, something with them so that we can get belly to belly. So I'm
Did you
almost
just recommend pickleball date as a real estate strategy?
Absolutely. I threw a pickleball real estate industry event last week. We had 100 people show up. We raised 15 grand for charity and picked up 3 new relationships off it. One
I
closing.
love it. That's
So I mean,
awesome.
like whatever it is, right? Like I don't want to say like
Yep.
take everyone to a happy hour because that's not super healthy. But a pickleball date could work.
I love it. That's awesome.
But like this is the overall idea. 20 messages, and you're either trying to get out a positive message about the real estate market, or you're trying to set a meeting of some kind. And people will really start self-selecting to you on which of those two is going to be more appropriate. But there's also a bonus factor here, and that's anyone you're messaging, and maybe you haven't talked to them in a while. Once there is two-way communication on Messenger with Facebook or Instagram, they are going to see your other posts more, and you will see their other posts more. So the algorithm notices communication, and then it shows them more of your stuff. So not only could you find something out about them in the conversation that you could use to sell them a house, but also they're going to see all of your other real estate posts more often now. And this is a strategy where I think if social media is any part of what you want to work for you, you absolutely need to get messaging in there. Most people, if they're just posting, most realtors are just shouting, and honestly, the content's just not that good. So make sure to add something like this in so you can have two-way communication and at least have a chance of that conversation.
I love that. And, I've seen that work in our business, essentially what we do. And by the way, shout out to Robert Taylor. I see Robert from Atlanta is watching as well. And guys, feel free to ask your questions in the comments. But I've in my business, Matt, I've seen where we'll go out and I'll explain a scenario. I do this a lot with our investing, for example. We buy a lot of rental properties all over the country, and I'll post something about properties we've bought, success that we've had with those properties, that sort of thing. And then what I'll do is I'll ask a question, or I'll ask, for who's interested in learning more about how we do these things, that sort of thing. And then what'll happen is people start commenting and they'll say, hey, I'm interested, whatever. I never put the information in the comments. Like, I'll never reply with the information. Instead, what I do is I go and I send them a DM. And then in the DM, I give them the information and I say, hey, would you do me a favor? Would you go back into the original post and let me know that you received this, that you received this information or whatever. And then in parentheses, I'll say, it would really help me out in the algorithm and I'd super appreciate it.
I
By
love
saying
that.
that in parentheses, what happens is people say, wow, well, I want to help Michael out. He's giving me this great information. All he's asking in return is for me to go in and make a comment, a comment that says that I received this. So then what I'll do is I'll go back into their original comment where they said, hey, I'm interested in getting more information about this. And I'll say, hey, I just sent you a DM. Did you receive it? What that does is it goes into, when they go into their news, their notifications, it'll show that I tagged them in a comment. And so they'll easily be able to find that original comment. They'll be able to go back in there and they'll comment on it. And all of a sudden, guess what? I've now got more traction on that post. And man, I can't begin to tell you how much I've been able to blow up posts by just using that one strategy. And to your point, Matt, it doesn't just help me in that post. It helps me in all my subsequent posts.
Rising tide raises all ships, right?
That's exactly right. Because now we've had two-way communication in DM. The algorithm recognizes that as well. And that's why I love it when people hate on me. I'll be like, dude, I just sent you a DM. Go check it out. Right. And that gets them into their DMs. And in the DM, I'll say, man, I just wanted to let you know, I'm sorry if I offended you somehow. Let me ask you this, how could I do better? Right. And they'll say something in the DM about that. Again, it gets that two-way DM going. And now I'm getting more algorithm love. Guys, it's massive. And Robert asks a great question. He says, are you doing that or do you delegate that task? It seems so time consuming. And Robert, for me, it's both. I do most of it, but it depends on the post. Like, so if I have big posts, where I've got a lot of people, I'll get, 50, 100 people or more asking me for information about a particular topic, or about, like with my investing, all they need is they need a link and the response is going to be the same to each one of them, but it's going to engage them. In that case, then yes, I have a VA that helps me with that. But if it's anything other than that, or if it's going to be something where it's going to need more personal attention, then I do it. But at the end of the day, we ask a lot of questions on Facebook, right? That's called extending the conversation. So we ask a lot of questions and we DM the heck out of people, with great information and ask them to go back and comment on the original post. So Matt, I really love that suggestion. That's a great one. I really appreciate you suggesting that. Any other thoughts on that before we go to number 3?
Usually a comment that I get when I'm talking about social media is I'll usually have like a new realtor who says, you know what, I just moved to the area. I don't know anyone, or I just got on social media. Like it's like they're my dad. They're the last human on earth to not be on social media, because they were doing other great things with their life. But there's still ways to make it work. And one of the reasons that I think Facebook still exists, right? Because everyone younger is on another site apparently, is actually Facebook groups. So Facebook groups are huge. They're very active. And there's an easy strategy here to meet new people and to expand your audience. And what I like to do is I like to tell people to join 2 or 3 groups that are seriously interesting to them, right? So whether you're into, pickleball, wine, your church group, something else, join, or your high school alumni group, your neighborhood group, your neighborhood association, homeowners association group, whatever that might be. Join that group and then do this. Every single day, every week, whenever someone posts a question or a comment, engage with them, answer it, be helpful, be genuinely helpful, and then add that person as a friend and keep the conversation going to make sure that you answer their question. Like Michael might post like, hey, looking for a new lead generation system, any recommendations? And he's going to get like 80 responses. Great. I'm only going to be one of them, but I'm going to write probably the longest one to try to stay top of that funnel. And then after that, I'm going to add him as a friend, DM him, just be like, hey, I know you got a lot of comments. I personally use this one, and I wanted to let you know it's worked for me. Here's the things to watch out for. Here's the pricing I have so you can compare and not get ripped off. Let me know like if this was helpful or not. You're probably going to respond to that. And then from there, I'm just going to keep the conversation going and try to get a Zoom meeting or some type of meeting set up with you after that. That has worked wonders for a lot of people that don't already have a big network. And I usually tell them to have a goal and to say, I want to get 3 to 5 new relationships out of social media every single week. Because if you just work with the same people you've already had, if you're a new agent, you don't have a big database yet, that might not be enough. So I like to use that as like an add-on strategy to everything else you're already doing in social.
It's interesting, Matt. That's a great idea for people that are in a new area that they haven't been in before. I've got clients. I've got one in particular, Shannon, down in Florida. What she did, she of course is a Seahawks fan, even though she lives in Florida because she once lived in Seattle. But I mean, let's face it, who's not a Seahawks fan? I mean,
Everyone should.
Everybody's a Seahawks fan, right? Everybody loves the Seahawks. And so she says, I'll bet there are people down here in Florida that are also Seahawks fans. And so what she did was she created a Facebook group around Seahawks fans, and she then created local meetups where when there were Seahawks games, they would get together and they would have a tailgate party there in Florida for the Seahawks game. And she built a business around that. All of a sudden now she created out of thin air a sphere of influence that was consistently sending her referrals because, they shared something in common, which is they were all Seahawks fans. So again, lots of ways to do this, guys. But what I'd like to know is what's a creative strategy you guys are using? Type into the comments. What's a creative strategy you guys are using? And then Matt, let's get to number 3. What's our third strategy you were going to share with us today?
This third one is kind of crazy because it seems really, really obvious, but I've had really good luck with it this year. So the third one is prospecting by job title or industry. And so what I mean by that is, most of us, if we're listening to this call, I would bet that most of us are doing a pretty good job with our database, right? We have a database, we update it consistently, and we communicate to those people in a consistent way. But what I've noticed is that the busier the agent, the less information they populate into their database. Mm-hmm. And what I've noticed is that the busier we are, the more closed off we are to spotting deeper opportunities. So the example would be when most realtors meet someone, they immediately think, can I sell them a house in the next 6 months? Are they going to buy, sell, or invest in 6 months? And if the answer is no, they kind of get filed away into that database. However, like when I met you, Michael, my immediate thought was like, how can I make money off Michael? Not really. But like, it wasn't like, I'm not going to sell you a house this week because I know that, as one of the top realtors in the world, you're good. But I said,
you mean one of?
Yeah.
What's this one of stuff?
Well,
oh my gosh.
Your son's number one, so he overtook you. Just kidding. But you have to think deeper and think critically, like what is the greatest possible value that Michael and I can add to each other right now? And job title is a really, really easy one because you probably, as the realtor, know what they do for a living and where they work. So I like to tell people, go back to your database and every day add job titles and businesses for at least 10 to 15 of your clients, and then reflect for a moment on, is there an opportunity here, right? So think of it. One of my real estate partners asked me, hey, Matt, I know you're on this charity board. Could you introduce me around to anyone you think is buying a house? And I said, that's the wrong question, right? Like it's so specific and it's kind of like a no-duh question. Of course, I'll refer you. But I said, how about this? I know someone who is at every company in town. Why don't you tell me what companies or what job titles you want to get in front of? He goes, I do a lot of work with physicians. I'd love to meet a physician recruiter. And oh my gosh, I happen to know one. So I refer him to a physician recruiter who's in my database. He sets up a meeting. I then message the guy back like, hey, by the way, Brandon's great. He's not super salesy. You'll love him. And now this realtor has closed 6 deals off of this physician recruiter. Mm-hmm. Him asking me for a one referral is short-sighted. So I want you to go through your database and put all these job titles and businesses down, because if they are in HR, that's someone you should meet with. And by the way, HR people don't get a lot of love. My wife has worked in HR for years. No one's taking her out to steakhouses, right? Like no one is doing very much for her other than me and my kids. So think of who these people are. Maybe they share a target market. Maybe they're at a jewelry store. They know every young couple getting engaged in town and they could be a referral source for you. Maybe that person's a teacher in your database, and all they need is for you to drop off 20 bucks worth of Costco Kleenex or tissue paper every single year. And you could be the number one person in their life that month because you did them a solid. Maybe the person owns a small business and you could do your client appreciation event at their small business and make them doubly as happy. I just want you to think about these things because we were all so busy showing 30 homes to every single client from 2018 until 2023 and a half that we forgot to like stop and smell the roses and look for that greater opportunity. And through prospecting by job titles, I think you can pick up a lot of business out there.
I love it. I love these creative ways to do it. And it's interesting because really all you're doing is you're just thinking outside the box about how can I bring more people and the right people more value, right?
Absolutely.
And as we do that, as we bring more value to the people around us, we automatically get more value, more of the things that we want. I like Robert's creativity in the comments on Facebook. Robert says, you were talking about, going after specific industry types. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go after OnlyFans. And I hope that means you're going to go after OnlyFans and not, like that you're going to support OnlyFans. Like that's a whole different thing, Robert. But at the end of the day, regardless of what industry you're talking about, and obviously he's joking about that, I hope, but obviously, or regardless of what industry you're going after, as you go after a particular industry, really think about how can I bring that industry value? And what would I want in return? What would the reciprocation look like? But again, it's the formula is give, ask, receive. And I hope you guys all write that down. I'm going to give it to you again. It's give, ask, receive. And what that really means is you have to first give, right? You have to bring value above all. And then you can earn the right to finally ask. And if you'll do that, then you'll likely receive. If you do it in any other order, right? If you start off by trying to ask for things, you're not going to get anything. You're just going to push people away. And so you've got to be looking for constantly, how do I bring value to these people? All right, good stuff. Matt, anything else you would like to add value with today?
You know what? I'll just leave on something that connects to what you just said. So something that I had my lenders start implementing about 2 years ago that's brought us a ton of value is changing what we track. So instead of just tracking the leads we receive, most sales professionals, if we're worth our metal, are tracking our referrals and we know where our deals came from. And if I were to ask Michael where his last 30 deals came from, he'd pull up a spreadsheet and tell me every single one within 2 seconds. But what most salespeople don't do, and I think is a huge opportunity, is to track the referrals that you give, because real estate agents are better poised than any other industry and profession in the world, in my opinion, to give referrals, right? Think of like all the things that someone needs from you. They need a roofer, they need a landscaper, they need a lender, they need title, they need a builder, they need a babysitter for their kids when they move in. They need to know about a great local church or a sports league or a great bar to go to. I mean, there's all of these things that they need from you that you could refer them on, but we're not tracking this. And I don't know why, because when we're going by this give, ask, receive model, if you have an idea of what you have done for other people, it sets you up to make the phone call to say, hey, Michael, I sent you over the Joneses. Just wanted to check with you. Is this a good lead for you? I want to make sure I'm not wasting your time and that that I'm giving you what you want and what's good. Or if there's a better way that I can refer these to make it more impactful, let me know. And then typically on that phone call, it kind of sets you up to refer me something back or to do something for me or to like me because I've just done you a solid. And for me, I'm not like a super salesy guy. That is a strategy that's really helped me to ensure I'm making my phone calls, but to ensure that I'm setting myself up not only to have a positive day, but then to get something back without necessarily having to ask for it. And I will ask for it if I need to, but I always like starting with letting them know what I did for them in a less callous way.
Dude, I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think that's the right note to end on. Guys, I hope you're listening carefully to what Matt's been sharing, because at the end of the day, if you'll implement just even one of these ideas, it has the potential to have a really big impact on your business in a very positive way. So that being said, Matt, I appreciate you being here. And I know that we've got we're looking at, I don't know what the dates are, but I know we are working on getting a Grand Rapids event on the schedule, and I'm stoked to see you there. I know Tara's going to be reaching out to you to ensure that we coordinate so we can both, promote the heck out of that thing and really get a bunch of people out there. If you guys are located in or around Grand Rapids, sometime here in the next couple of months, we're going to have a live event Matt and I will be in the Grand Rapids area, and we'll do a live 3.5-hour event. So make sure you guys make your way out to that. Matt, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, how would they reach you?
Easiest possible way is Instagram. They can DM me. My handle is mattmuscat88, or they can go to mattmuscat.com. All my other information's on there too.
I love it. Sounds good. Well, Matt, thank you very much for dropping some gold with us today.
Thanks for the time today, Michael.
And guys, if you haven't done so already, give us a like, a follow, a subscribe, share this with someone you know that you feel can get value out of it. And we will see you on our next episode of Club Wealth TV. Take care, everybody.
87%. Yeah, that's the percentage of all real estate agents that get in the business today that'll be gone in 2 years. Let me tell you something. Why is there so much turnover in real estate? Because it isn't easy. And because most people don't know exactly what they need to do to get to the next level. Now look, regardless of whether you're brand new to the industry or you're a team leader, you've got 40 people on your team and you just want to get to the next level. If you're doing 10 transactions a year, you want to get to 25. You're doing 500 transactions a year, you want to get to 1,000. You're at 1,000, you want to get to 10,000. Let me tell you something. You need the right coach. Why? Because Club Wealth is the only coaching company on the planet that will literally guarantee that you will double your income or make at least an extra $100,000 your first year coaching with us, or we will give you 100% of your investment back. This is for people of all levels. Click the link below, sign up for the appropriate tier level, and let's get you a strategy session today. And I promise you, I 100% guarantee you, promise you that you will walk away with a heart full of gratitude for the time that we took for you, because you got so much value out of that call. Schedule your strategy session today. I promise you'll be glad you did.